one.
You are Jan Dolsky, a miner who's part of an expedition to research new planets to find and extract rubidium. What is rubidium, you may ask? Rubidium is a type of resource that emits specific waves of radiation that transfer energy directly into the mitochondria of the cells of living beings, accelerating their growth process from what would have taken them years to a matter of minutes. The implications for the discovery and subsequent use of rubidium were, of course, endless. To say rubidium was revolutionary would be the understatement of the millennium. It was Maui stealing fire from the Polynesian gods and giving it to the humans. It was evolution becoming a human tool instead of nature's. Needless to say, corporations started looking for and mining rubidium with everything they had. Expeditions started leaving for the farthest corners of known space systems and beyond to find more of this new toy that could fidget with and sell. Of course, this work was dangerous, but corporations would strip your baby for parts and sell you the parts for profit if they could, so obtaining rubidium was obviously going to take precedence over pesky things like OSHA laws or human safety in general. You, as Jan Dolsky, happened to be on one such expedition when something inevitably goes wrong and you crash land way off of where you were supposed to. You head out to find the rest of the expedition members only to find them dead. They shouldn't be dead. The life support systems in their pods should have protected them, but you see, you're being a little inconsiderate with that line of thought. If the company doesn't cut corners with small, insignificant stuff like life support systems, how are they going to afford the $200 million bonus check for the CEO? Shame on you for not considering the poor CEO's bonus check. He works hard all day for you peasants, and sacrificing your life in the name of his bonus check is the least you could do. After discovering that all your teammates have rightfully been terminated so the bottom line could be a little fatter, you get to worrying about other unimportant things like your own survival instead of how you could benefit the company in this situation, selfish little creature that you are. Behavior like this is exactly why you can never win Employee of the Year, Jan. Anyway, you run along to find the Wheel of Survival, where you were supposed to meet the others and take shelter in its sanctuary before the planet radiation kills you. Here's the deal, okay? You need to farm resources to stay alive, but after a certain time at night, the planet starts trying to farm you instead of the other way around, so you need to get inside by bedtime or risk becoming part of the planet fauna. This is the core gameplay loop of the Altars. You collect resources in order to survive, utilize some of those resources to survive, and use others to make collecting said resources easier. There's enough variety in terms of what resources you can collect and what you can build with them, so it's not mind-numbingly boring, but it is a very bog-standard survival gameplay loop. There's nothing special there. So you set about doing those things in order to ensure that you still draw breath come the next day. Slight problem. The survival wheel was designed to be operated by your entire team, just not little Jan. There's a huge wave of radiation coming, and you need to move the survival wheel, only you cannot move it because you have no idea what the fuck you are doing. You do the only thing you can do and contact the higher-ups at the company. You give them the good news, that there's rubidium on the planet, and the bad news, that you need to be extracted alive in order for them to get their grubby little paws on the rubidium. This is where the big secret is revealed, and before I say this, I know I'll put up a spoiler warning at the start of the video, but if you haven't played the game, go play it and come back to the video. This one gameplay feature reveal is worth playing the game for, this far at least. If it gets boring and repetitive, which it will, you put the game down, but just trust me, it is worth it to play it for this reveal. Alright, when you contact the higher-ups at the company, they tell you that they don't just own your soul, they own your memories as well, and they fed them to the quantum computer on board the survival wheel. From your memories, the quantum computer can determine key moments in your life where you made conscious decisions that caused your life paths to diverge from what they could have been. For example, you never once stood up against your abusive father, even when you had the chance. What would your life have been like if you had chosen to hit him back when he hit your mother that night? Could have been an entirely different person. Well, now you can find out exactly who you would have been. The quantum computer calculates all the different life paths, all the different key branching decisions, and creates memories for them based on who you are. You can use this technology combined with rubidium and, a sheep generator to create genetic clones of yourself. These clones have your genetic makeup, but maybe they made different life decisions at key moments in their simulated life paths. Maybe they chose to study harder and become smarter. Maybe they chose to stay with their dying mother when you chose to run away to university. Maybe they chose to hit back. All of these different versions of you come with different skill sets that you can use to help get the survival wheel going. The you that's a mechanic, a scientist, or an engineer will all need to work together to survive. Of course, High command tells you to keep this information hush-hush because the commoners aren't quite ready for such technology. The game carries on with you moving the survival wheel to different biomes as you progress through the game, and the core survival gameplay loop mostly remaining the same, which all cards on the table here was boring me to death, so I put the game down in the desert biome, but the original premise stayed with me. It could help theorize an answer to one of the longest lasting questions I've had about my own religion. I was born in a Muslim family. My parents were traditionally Muslim, but the Islam of the subcontinent is very different from actual Islam, as I was to come to find out. I didn't very much like the Islam of the subcontinent. As a result of this, I was agnostic through most of my early life. Ironic, given what I thought of agnosticism at the time and still do now. If you acknowledge that there's a possibility that hell and eternal damnation could be real, there's nothing in the world that could be worth betting against that, could there? Nevertheless, partially because of my stupidity and partially because of the bastardization of Islam in the subcontinent, I was disillusioned with it until I did some research on my own and discovered how beautiful this religion really was. I became a revert and a practicing Muslim again in my 20s, alhamdulillah, but one of the questions that I had during my agnosticism days has stuck with me through my reversion. In Islam, there's something called the Lawh al-Mahfuz. It is a sacred tablet that has recorded all events of this world till the day of judgment. And by all events, I mean all events. Everything you will ever do is written down in the Lawh al-Mahfuz. But the problem for me was that the entire point of creating human beings was free will. We were ordained better than the angels and the jinns because we chose to worship Allah and do good. The entire point was that we were better because we had free will. But if everything is already written down, how do we have free will? If everything is written down, hasn't what we do already been decided for us? That is the question I will attempt to answer today. Now keep in mind that I am not a scholar of Islam or an expert in number theory, and that is what I will be doing here, theorizing, trying to present a rational explanation for a question I've had for the longest time. And it is by no means definitive. Feel free to let me know of any alternate theories you might have in the comments. I want you to think of a bus. This bus has infinite passengers in it. You are the manager of a hotel with infinite rooms, and you need to accommodate the infinite number of passengers from the bus. No problem, right? Just tell each of them to get a room, but then another bus arrives, also with an infinite number of passengers. You're the hotel manager and you need to accommodate your guests because you have a reputation to keep. So you figure out that if you move each of your current residents over by one room, that is, they stay in room 1, 3, 5, 7, and so on until infinity, clear up enough space to fit another infinite number of residents in your hotel. This is a poorly explained version of the Veritasium video where they explain how some infinities are bigger than other ones. Since the final number of residents in your hotel is equal to the first infinite number of passengers and the second one, stands to reason that the final number of residents in your hotel is greater than either the number of passengers in the first or the second bus, and all of them being infinite regardless. In mathematical terms, you would write that inequality something like this, where IF is the final number of residents, I1 is the number of passengers in the first bus, and I2 is the number of passengers in the second bus. Now, if either of them can be bigger or smaller than each other, it also stands to reason that even though our human brains aren't capable of doing it, infinities are quantifiable. They wouldn't be either smaller or larger than each other if they weren't. Now, about the Lawh al-Mahfuz and everything is written down, how do we have free will? It's hilariously simple when I think about it in retrospect. The Lawh al-Mahfuz could just have all the possible decisions and all the branching paths written down on it. They may be infinite, but as I've already demonstrated, I hope some mathematician is probably going to correct me in the comments, but infinities are quantifiable things even if not by our human brains. God could have certain infinities as units of measurement, like we do simple Arabic numerals like 1, 2, 3. This, of course, is just a theory I came up with. I did it because I liked it, and I think I was good at it. No doubts, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best, and even if I'm wrong, I have faith that I will get my answers one day, inshallah. Goodbye, thank you for watching, and I will see you guys soon with a Stalker 2 video, hopefully. Goodbye.